Yep.
We'll find out.
Yeah, I would imagine that, I mean, General's heroes aren't really getting banned out that much, are they?
Doom,
I mean,
you are
he got to play as
banned.
Beastmaster, he got to play as Axe yesterday as well.
Yeah, you just
We are in the draft.
take out the Doom, take out Lich.
Yeah, is Na'Vi banning out the Lich this time? They have first pick though,
Okay.
but so far that's the
Think they'll
only
go
change,
Wisp,
and they
yeah.
go
Yeah.
for the IO
Either
themselves.
go Wisp or Batrider there. I think. Well, now you have Beastmaster still in the pool, but I think there's easy ways to deal with Beastmaster. I mean, the Wisp relocates have saved a lot against the Roars.
And it's not like Forev's preferred hero. He's not like a Bulba or a, I mean, even General or someone who's like, yeah, Beastmaster, send them my way. Even Bulldog lately with Alliance, it's been like, that's one of their #1 priorities sometimes. So when MVP Phoenix had Beastmaster left in the pool, it's not like they instantly snag it up.
I'm very curious to see who took first pick too this time around. We haven't seen maybe
Oh,
the
yeah.
discrepancies between the
Whether-
first and second pick too much, but in this matchup, first pick is very key for this Wisp.
Yeah, I think when you're playing a new patch, you just choose first pick so you can get used to
Yeah,
drafting around it being
exactly.
you get to kind of dictate what you take and what's left in the pool.
So both games, Na'Vi has been Radiant. Both games, Na'Vi has been first pick.
Oh, Navi first pick both games. No, MVP had first pick last game.
Oh yeah, we did see the Doom first
It
pick
was
on
a
the
second
dire.
pick Lich. Yeah.
You're right. No, Na'Vi is the one that favors Radiant above all. Even
Yeah.
with all the changes. So previous
Last
game they
patch
would've
as well.
thought-
They love Radiant.
They're trying to find out what they want to do because Na'Vi are going to pick Batrider 100% next if they leave themselves vulnerable. So they have to make sure that they have a counter in place.
Do Navi prefer Bat over Beastmaster?
I think they do with Bat. Just because it gives you more vision, more scouting.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, Queen of Pain.
Bounty
Like
Queen.
Cheese hero. Oh, okay. Did ya? Hey, what's up?
We have Nature's Prophet for Na'Vi, so no Batrider, no Beastmaster. Two heroes that we're missing that we see picked up very early. Those are General's signature heroes as well.
And the Nature's Prophet is often played by DHR in the safe
Yeah.
lane. So
Yeah.
this is not like, oh, they're not picking the Beastmaster or the Batrider. It's still very
They're
open.
saving it, yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you expect to see both
General
of those
can
banned
play it,
though?
though.
Oh, actually, MVP Phoenix is thinking that it will be General Nature's Prophet, as they did ban out the Lycan. That is no
Yeah, well,
negotiable.
and
General.
MVP think that, but it's like, I think MVP are trying to protect
Yeah.
themselves from some kind of a push strat. For Na'Vi, it's very much open. If they want to go for like a more pick-off gank heavy lineup, you've got global TP, you've got relocate, you can have some initiator like a Bat or Beastmaster. I think Bat or Beastmaster is still looking really solid for Na'Vi right now.
Yeah, both
I think
teams.
so too.
Both teams can still
We've
do it.
seen how much General can do with that Batrider, even in the game where I believe Andy said, you know, he's never going to get a kill against a Morphling. Got a kill
Yeah.
against a Morphling in the first 2 minutes, no problem.
I mean, that's why he's casting now. I mean, he's not on the panel anymore.
He knows what's up.
I don't think he can hear us, so you can play him all you want.
Actually, if you put your headsets on when you're casting, they should be able to hear us. But he might have it off.
He doesn't want to hear how terrible
Yeah,
announce this. It's like, who are these guys?
No, I love you,
Witch
Andy.
Doctor.
Stuck to them.
Okay.
It's a very good hero.
Just a
versus
good
Stain.
support against Treants and stuff
and
too.
you're good against IO too. I mean, you relocate in with someone, you get a cask, and both are immobilized, so pretty decent there. Now for Na'Vi, both with IO and with Nature's Prophet, you want a hero that can provide vision. Now I know we say a lot of Batrider, but wouldn't Beastmaster be better in that regard?
I personally prefer Beastmaster just because it gives you more push and damage output. If you're running a safe lane Nature's Prophet, that's something that, like, this hero is a pretty good carry and he does transition well, but I just like how they can push and they can play faster tempo with a Beastmaster because you get a kill and then you push a tower really quickly. With Bat, you get a kill, you don't necessarily push a tower right afterwards.
No, the only reason they would is if Nature's Prophet comes in and helps out, but
Yeah.
even then it's not.
I was
going
just about
as
to talk
fast.
about this Ember Spirit pick because I was saying if Na'Vi.
Yeah, so
They
was
need
I,
to
man. I
anticipate.
knew they were going to pick an Ember
Because
Spirit.
QO, I was like, okay, QO is about to pick Ember Spirit, but no, what did they do? Na'Vi deny this
Yeah.
because they were like, okay, we want you guys to pick Bat or Beastmaster, so we can just pick up Ember here, and then we're just gonna probably they could even put the Ember mid as we saw yesterday, and then they left the Queen of Pain on the top lane to really shut down the Beastmaster of Bulba in that game, where he was forced into the jungle.
Ooh.
Nice call, Ryu.
There you go.
We got an axe picked up by MVP Phoenix.
Good laning hero against Prophet. I like Axe against Ember too. Like, it's a good initiator to catch him out before he can remnant it away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just Axe Co-op to me, it's like a lot of aggression. You blink in, you've got burst damage to follow it up.
And Orchid too. I mean,
5
this is
seconds
like the
remaining.
perfect counter so far
Yep.
to Ember Spirit, what they have going for them.
So likely it will be general offlane profit now with the Ember pickup. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you
So
could go back to the old days with Samael, Ember Spirit, where you get Sleight of Fist first against the Queen of Pain if it's that mid matchup, and then you
Yeah.
slight dodge the Shadow Strike. So that could be a potential.
it's just when it's
thing,
Navi, it's like,
but-
it's Deech's
yeah,
hero.
Yeah, it's like
It's not
I
like
don't
a
think
Dendi.
Well, it would be pretty funny if they switched up lanes, but
Yeah.
I don't think they've switched them up unless Dendi was like maybe.
I don't think
OD?
I can't remember
I
the
can't
last time
remember,
I've seen
yeah.
Navi swap their lanes up
That
and
was
put.
like maybe the beginning of last patch or something.
Yeah.
So we know that Seneko is going to play that IO as he normally does. What hero would you like to see for art style? As I mean, his Jan and Enchantress are
I
removed.
really like
Winter Wyvern?
Winter Wyvern. Oh,
Yeah.
high five. I like that hero.
Okay.
I think that's could be the hero of the tournament,
Yeah.
Slightly
at least for
awkward.
Elite Wolves. But
And there's not a huge amount of physical damage, but it's just it seems like such a strong, reliable support now in the new patch. If not Wyvern.
they might go Lion. Though.
Yeah, they stuns. Like I was thinking,
Yeah.
Lion. Yeah, Lion or Wyvern.
Yeah, well, they're taking their time. I mean, they're almost out of bonus time here. Would you pick up your support
Wind
first?
Ranger at your service.
No, they go for
They're
Wind
gonna
Ranger.
get-
So they left it.
So it will be Digiraw Ember then, Dendi Wind Ranger,
Yes.
Yep.
and indeed a General Nature's Prophet.
We were thinking they were going to save it because there's potentially, like we talked about, MVP. They could still run the Queen of Pain, maybe safe lane, get another
10
aggressive
seconds
mid hero
remaining.
like Wind Ranger or TA, and then. But it looks like Navi are like,
5
oh, we want
seconds
our mid
remaining.
now, so we know what we want to do.
How
I don't-
is Navi going to deal with the axe?
Oh, they have to relocate, so I don't think it's that big of a
No,
deal.
but Axe is going to turn on his blade mail, and you're not going to be able to hit him anymore.
Blade Mail's only good against Dendi if he's focused fire.
Yeah, but he's then also the only one that can deal out a lot of damage in the early stages of the game. Like later on, sure, Ember can take care of that, fine. But early on, and even then, later on, I'm not even sure if Ember can do that.
Axe is definitely a problem hero. You
Yeah.
want to make sure he doesn't get too much out of the laning stage, I feel. Especially if he's in the off lane, you want to be trying to zone him out a bit there. But something MVP often do is run dual lanes, like have Witch Doctor with the
Right.
Axe in the off lane. Have a just safe lane solo hero like Queen of Pain.
Yep.
Or whatever their last pick may be, so...
I don't think Queen of Pain does that well against Nature's Prophet in offlane though.
No.
Like, that is one matchup you don't want to have.
You'd rather get like a, I don't know,
But if they do dual lanes, then it could be fine. The Queen of Pain plus Witch Doctor could shut down. And then you could still have the Bounty Hunter Axe offlane potential too. But yeah, I like having
you
the
could get
Witch
like a, oh, let's go back to the Bat Rider option, just do Bat versus Nature's Prophet with
Yeah, it's
Bounty
not too
roaming.
bad. But then you just TP away, and then...
Well, that's what Bounty comes in, you know, has
Oh,
the
yeah,
Shuriken
that's-
ready to go. I think the Bounty is what can make that 1v1 matchup in the top lane better for MVP, despite what they pick. But a Slark ban, actually, that's not
a
bad.
smart one.
Yeah, they don't have anything great to contest the Slark, and it would just probably free farm away. That's a CIS support classic.
And it's strong against most cores, as long as he can get his positioning right, which obviously is key for quite
There
a
you
few
go.
heroes.
Has good stats, doesn't get completely bullied around by a Bounty Hunter. You got Brain Sap for extra
Yeah,
sustain.
Fiend's Grip
10
Axe
seconds
until his blade mirror wears off, and then there can be a Focus Fire Shackle, and then you can take him down.
5 seconds remaining.
I'm still not sold on the
Too.
Blade Mail just yet this game. It could work.
Reserve time.
Why wouldn't you
Maybe.
get a Blade Mail?
When would you get a Blade Mail?
You'll get your Axe. you're
Against
gonna get a
AoE
Blade Mail.
damage, it's better against
it's really
AoE
good against
damage.
Sven and Gyro before BKB.
Yeah.
But in this game,
Like if you're a Wind Ranger,
just
you
see
just
it.
stop
Yeah.
right-clicking him if he pops Blade Mail.
That's also a good thing,
it could be
right?
the turn, right?
Sort of, but you don't want to buy Blade Mail so they stop attacking. You want to buy it normally so to guarantee you do some return damage.
Like we talked about, I said it's really good against Wind Ranger this game to deter him, stop him from focus
Imagine
firing. But
she Focus Fires, he
Ooh,
Blade Mails, and then Berserker Skulls.
PLQO.
PL.
Okay.
So
Good
Wonder if they mid PL or just safe lane it. This is MVP. They love their
Yeah.
mid PL, but
What are we thinking?
it's weird against an Ember Spirit
yeah,
though.
I think more likely it's. I think PL versus Ember, they have different timings. I don't think it's
Yes, they have
necessarily a
good
bad
time- they have
matchup.
different timings.
It's not like Ember counters PL and like the PL is a bad pick because of that.
It's not.
You've got ways of
You
dealing
have
with his
ways,
illusion army.
Especially, yeah, once you have the Scotty and like a lot of stats built up, it's very easy. And once you get on top of the Ember, it could be, easy pickings.
You gotta name one team. Who's gonna take the second game? Is MVP Phoenix gonna take it 2-0? Navi gonna force out a third game?
I'll go first this time, I guess, since guys are still thinking.
10
I
seconds
think Navi is gonna win this, and we're gonna be in for a long day, a long
5
best of 3
seconds
here.
remaining.
So that's gonna be.
Why Navi?
It's because Ember Spirit, I think it's
Ember
just
Spirit.
going to be doing all the work, and they have a lot of save potential with Risk Relocate and Bane.
Okay.
I think they're just going to be able to survive all these team fights.
He sold me, Navi.
Okay, well, we're gonna find out what our commentators think. It is
Prepare
time for
for
AC
battle.
and Draskell for Game 2 of Navi versus MVP Phoenix.
And we're back, locked and loaded for game number 2 of this series, our opening series here on day 2 of WePlay Season 3. I'm AC, joined by Draskell, and we saw a show put on by MVP in game 1. As you mentioned, and you were a big fan of it right out the gate, a brilliant draft to counter the Lich pick that everyone's kind of held as a big question mark. And now we're ready to jump on into game 2. Let's see what they have in store for us.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one because it's another match where, you know, MVP aren't going with completely the norm. They did fit an accent to their lineup. They're going to go with something that they love to do, which is the mid peel. They love running these kind of dual fighting cores, and this time around it's going to be a safe lane Queen of Pain instead of a safe lane Doom. So all things considered, I think this one's going to be a little bit more even. I think Navi don't just straight up lose out during the late game. It might be a little bit of a struggle though against the PL. Even though obviously Navi have an Ember Spirit, that is pretty much their only real method of dealing with illusions. Otherwise you have to rely on initiation from Dendi with a Blink Shackle and stuff like that. So this one should be, I think, a bit more action-packed and also a bit closer.
Horn blows, 5 seconds out from the rune spawning. Let's see if there's going to be any hardcore contesting. Bottom's going to be just ceded to QO, and Soneko happy to take the top one. So not going to be any action to get things started. About we take a look at who's handling who as the lanes take shape. For Navi, the hometown favorites trailing this series 0-1. Soneko, as mentioned, will be on the IO. It'll be Art Style playing on the Bane. Wind Ranger taken mid by Dendi. The Ember Spirit going to be farmed down in that safe lane on the Radiant side by Ditchera. And it'll be General out in the offlane on the Nature's Prophet. No surprise there. General, as you said, a real standout who just continues to emerge as one of the best in the business out in that offlane. In mid, it's going to be QO playing our Phantom Lancer. It'll be the Bounty Hunter played by Fevy. He's going to be out in this off lane for the Dire side. He's joined by Forev on the Axe. The Queen of Pain going to be farmed by MP. He's in the safe lane, and he's going to be helped out by Dubu, who will be on this Witch Doctor. Looks like they may want to get a little active, and now General always going to be caught with a second cast shot as well. Trying to trade shots. First blood could be one more. That'll do. And Dubu gets MVP, a nice lead to get things going.
That was a really nice kill and something that they definitely were not expecting, being that aggressive at level 1 and the Queen of Pain against a level 2 Nature's Prophet. I wonder if he couldn't have just tried to TP away, because General was actually 2 at that point, and with the Tango going, he might have had enough health in the tank to be able to walk it off, but maybe if MP turns around, he just dies regardless. But again, MVP off to a nice start here in the second game. I do think that this type of matchup is a little bit more gray, because there's kind of this really mid-game fighting-oriented style that Navi can go for, where they have such a great global presence. And I also think that this is one of the styles that they are best at. It's just causing kind of this chaotic gameplay where Dendi can initiate. He's not playing like a hard farming core like TA, like he was in the first game. He's playing a hero who can actually help you fight.
Right.
So I think that that's also a good step for Navi. I like to see him on these types of heroes a little bit more. So I think that will help them tremendously during this mid-game.
Did see a death there. Don't panic. We didn't miss it this time around. It was the Bounty Hunter suiciding himself to Roshan.
He's just going to base.
Yep. He's taking a quick ride home. Let's talk a little bit about this mid matchup, Draskell. I mean, we can see QO is having problems, and that's to be anticipated. He's up against a dual lane, and not just a dual lane, but a damn good one in Wind Ranger and the IO. He's getting good levels, but his farm certainly lacking. In fact, he's missed a couple of CS. There's another one he just missed that he could have had. He's sitting at 2-0. Is this going to be okay, or is this something that they're going to have to try to change up soon?
It just depends on how much they're getting out of other lanes, and also keeping in mind that they do have a Bounty Hunter on their team. So a lot of the time when you have Bounty, you're not necessarily... Okay, there's a Sentry here. Art style.
In some trouble. Is he going to be able to make it away? No call. Level 3, but 2 points into the Helix. Now Ditchera coming out and using the Flame Guard to burn away. But yeah, if there was a call there, that's a dead art style, so he makes the win.
Yeah, he's 0-1-2, so 2 points in the spin means no call at this point. But again, it depends on how the other lanes go in regards to the mid matchup. If QO is just left here to his own devices and MVP don't make stuff happen elsewhere, then yeah, it's going to be bad. Because then you have one hero who's just losing for no reason and you're not able to find any sort of rebuttal in the top or the bottom lane. But I think the MVP are going to be okay with it to a certain degree. 4EV is even with the PL, or excuse me, the Ember Spirit, which I think is fine. Because in this lane, the Ember Spirit really wants to be ahead against a lineup that has like this free farming Queen of Pain, who I can assume is probably going to be going either Orchid, or maybe he goes for like an Aghanim's Rush this game just to play a little bit more safe. But having that hero that you have to worry about and being the only real way of dealing with the Phantom Lancer is putting a lot of pressure on that safe lane Ember. So if he doesn't have a standout game, Ditchyrock could also suffer here too.
Do you think there's maybe a play where you swap the Queen and QO at some point if you feel happy with the way the lanes have gone?
Yeah, I think so. I think what's going to happen is MP, once he hits 6, he might just start being a little bit more active in general, and that will just relieve QO. It's not necessarily that they have to do a hard lane switch, but it's one of those situations where one hero starts like moving around the map and forcing Navi to react, and that just inherently gives QO room to farm.
Shackle came very close to latching there, and the Nature's... Yep, the Nature's probably thought of coming in. QO with that haste wants to give chase. Nah, I was going to say, is he going to go deep? But not going to be the case. So for now, mid stays looking much the same as you said. Furez really the standout here. Tied up with the Ember Spirit art style. Just level 2.5 at this point. Even Febby on this Bounty Hunter has been roaming in and out. The jungle's doing better. Is this something that Navi needs to change right now, or is it the kind of thing where you just hope it works out?
They might just kill art style here.
Yeah, I'm going to say probably the former. Or Ditchyrock gets off. Oh, that's he managed to get off the shackles. The not shackles, the searing chains. But Perez very low now, and here comes Saneko trying to get a rebuttal kill of his own. General's right there. There's another searing chains, and that'll put Navi on the board finally as they get a good kill and not a moment too soon.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that he stuck around for so long. Maybe he just thought that he was going to die no matter what. He is almost level 5 though, and getting that kill is not a bad thing by any means. So he's 1-1. And honestly, the Bounty Hunter is getting a decent chunk of experience out of this as well. Almost level 4 in a 5-minute game. Doesn't sound like a lot, but Bounty Hunters a lot of the time spend most of the early game walking around, not really getting much in the way of golden experience, just trying to gather information. So in a lot of ways, the Bounty Hunter getting this much XP early is going to be great. Stubby is going to take another free trip back to the base there via the Ancient Camp. But yeah, I think that Navi are still doing okay, and they're not really on as much of a clock as they were in the first game. But there does need to come a point where they're going to have to start trying to pressure, because having Furion on your team and IO relocates, they have so many ways of taking fights. I would be surprised to see them play passive for too long.
It seems like the thing that's really keeping them feeling pretty okay about things is just how bad of a game QO's having in mid. I mean, he's at 10-2 right now.
Oh, it's tough.
And to tell you the truth, man, you know, I'm so loath to say this. I've watched him miss 4 or 5 last hits, so it's not just he's being bullied around. I mean, he's missing last hits, just mechanically making mistakes. So it's a tough situation whenever you're giving up what little you can find, just with a couple of small mistakes. But MP is capitalizing on top for sure. He's #1 in CS. He's at 45 and in great shape for the moment.
He is crushing it right now, for sure. And that's just because of the fact that Navi don't really have a great way of contesting the safe lane of MVP. All of their focus is put towards mid and it's put towards bottom lane. So it's just the way that the lane spread worked out that Navi are going to end up sacrificing maybe like 1.5 lanes, I guess, because the Ember Spirit's also not farming as well as the Axe up until this point. And with the spin change, I actually think that the new spin is just straight up better against Ember in the first place, even though Ember naturally has very low base armor, because pure damage is great, right? It's going to bypass the Flame Guard. And Blade Mail is interesting, because I was thinking about this when I saw the Ember versus Axe in the draft, that Blade Mail, I think, is actually worse now against Ember than it was before, because since the damage is reflected in the same type, you don't actually deal damage through Flame Guard, which means if you blink call him and he has Flame Guard on, the Blade Mail does nothing until the Flame Guard's actually down.
Right.
And your spin doesn't deal magical damage either, so there's nothing really to eat through it. I don't know, it's an interesting kind of way of thinking about it, because before, when you had Blade Mail, all the damage that he was dealing to you just got reflected directly to him, because the damage type was different, and it just bypassed the shield in the first place. So it'll be interesting to see. Regardless, the laning phase is still working out well for 4EV, and I assume that his blink timing is going to be pretty quick.
Well, MP's making his way down here. It looks like MVP wants to try to change something up. Now's a good time. They're going to engage on the Dindy. Sonic Wave's at the ready. If MP wants to go, Shackle's going to be thrown. He's going to go in. Sonic Wave will clean up the Wind Ranger. And now they're going to try to chase down General. Nice patience from MVP, and they're going to capitalize in a big way. 4-1 now, and that mid lane, which was really the calling card for Navi's early game, is torn asunder. And granted, you know, losing just the Wind Ranger is not that big of a deal, but this just frees things up for the Phantom Lancer. He was hanging around. This is going to be his level 6 after this card, I do believe. Yep. So he's in excellent shape to recover, I shouldn't say. He's not quite back yet, but certainly looking good for MVP.
He's been given that little breath of life, I suppose, when you have a really tough early game. And this is what we expected, right? Eventually, MVP are going to start rotating around. They have Bounty Hunter, they have Queen of Pain, these heroes that are very adept at early game skirmishing. So looking more towards that, we see some movement towards bottom. MP's in the area. He does have level 4 Scream, and I feel like Ditchera is okay. He doesn't have his Spirit out, actually, but sooner or later, he's going to realize.
Yep. Right about now, I would say, he's going to get off the Searing Chains. Here comes some help. Do they have the damage? Nature's Prophet's ult actually enough to send them running. Here comes General. He's going to be able to grab up MP. MP, that's a very great kill for Na'Vi. Now they're going to chase down Forev, Searing Chains, and they're going to get him as well. Stick charges are actually enough to make them rethink it. Febby was hanging around there, did not show himself, and just barely is Forev able to make it away. And now QO's coming over. There's a Spirit Lance that gets him a free kill on the IO. Now Ditchera engaged from behind. Very low mana pool. Febby being burned down too much, though, by the Flame Guard. So MVP going to be happy to just take a 1-for-1, though. It's a 1-for-1 that very heavily favors Na'Vi.
Unfortunately, when the Axe taunted, he had, like, I think 3 creeps on him. He got hit by a tower a few times, and the Ember did not spin one time.
Oh, man.
0 spins when he was going at Ditchera, so that ends up backfiring really hard. It means that instead of getting the kill, they potentially lose one of the more important heroes on their team, their initiator as well. And interestingly enough, he is opting for the Vanguard build on the Axe, so he's not going for just a straight-up Blink Dagger. Maybe he wants to do a bit more creep cutting and make sure that they can apply pressure to towers directly instead of more fight-oriented, which I think is fine. You know, delaying the Blink Dagger by a little bit, it's not too bad.
Shackle in mid, no damage to follow up though. Dindy was already at low health and probably didn't want to take the chance that there was a Bounty Hunter or some other hero lingering around, so he backed out with the help of Seneko. All right, 2-5, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, now that I think about it, maybe he's not going Vanguard, maybe he just goes Hood. Because there's a ton of magic damage on Navi, right? Like, there's Nature's Wrath, Ember Spirit's a lot of magic damage, Power Shot, is other stuff. I mean, obviously both are good, but the only reason I say that is because the new Hood is significantly cheaper, right? It's like 1,700 gold now, or 1,725, something like that, as opposed to what it used to be, and that's a huge difference. And plus, the active, for the amount that it costs, absorbs so much damage in a fight that it might even be worth buying in this early state of the game.
More movement towards mid. Another Sonic Wave unable to bring Seneko down. They do get the Wind Ranger, though, just barely. Seneko now making a run forward. QO wants to find a Spirit Lance. Doesn't look like he will be able to. They're very deep here. The rotation is coming from Artstyle in general. General shows up, engage very quickly. The damage is there. Are they going to be able to finish him off? No. Yes, they do manage to get the one, Seneko, but General barely able to escape with his life. Very low health. Now Artstyle going to be eating some damage. There's a Brain Sap. Here comes Ditchera to clean up house. Sleep on the QO, and Searing Chains enough to bring him down. So Na'Vi with a good exchange that time. Once again, only giving up the IO and getting the 2 most important cores on the side of MVP.
Really good turn there. And you can see the way that MVP like to play this. It doesn't matter if their heroes are good during mid or late game. They just always want to fight.
Shackle not going to latch. And wow, Dubu turned right back around into this. He's going to die for free. That was immediate burst down. And Febby's going to be careful. Yeah, that was a Spirit. A Spirit hit Febby as he was running, and it gave him the tip-off that he was there. The dust afterwards, and another great kill. And suddenly, my friend, a game that looked to be going the lopsided direction of MVP once again is drawn to 6 and 7. Na'Vi within 1 kill, but more importantly, finally taking a considerable lead, their first of the game in Golden Experience.
And that's kind of what I was saying, though, is Na'Vi, this is 100% comfort zone picks for them. They just want heroes that can skirmish. They want to fight all the time. They're very similar to MVP in that regard. Now, MVP do it with a different set of heroes, but the idea is the same. Right. You just constantly pressure, you go for some towers eventually, and you get so far ahead just due to the way that you play the game that the enemy team just doesn't have time to react. It's like, it's very hard to hit back when you always got a fist in your face, right? That's pretty much the mentality of both teams. The difference is that Na'Vi can do it on a global scale. They can relocate now that Seneko has it, and that's what they're going to do.
Yep, speaking of, they're going to jump right on MP. Shackle not there, doesn't matter. The damage is helped up in the Nature's Wrath. They're going to try to turn it around. Dubu caught out. Saneko gets off the dust, and Febi's going to be spotted out again. And suddenly, Na'Vi springing to not just a lead, but a big one, as they're able to take the tier 1, take 3 kills behind it, and now beginning to show their own mobility, their own ability to take the fight to the enemy. If you're MVP, Draskell, what's the play?
Well, you got to be a little bit more concise with your team play. You can't just run around with 1 or 2 heroes and expect to be able to stay okay. Like, this is a perfect example. You cannot be isolated like this. Even with the aggressive wards that they have, it doesn't do you any good if you can just get teleported on globally, sprouted in, and just killed.
Na'Vi make it 10-7 now, and that's every core of MVP that they have killed at least once in the last 3 to 4 minutes, and they've killed the bounty twice amidst all of that as well. And yeah, this is a 4,000 gold lead at 12 minutes, and MVP know they've got to do something. They're going to smoke. It's the Queen of Pain and the Witch Doctor with QO out in front with an Invis rune, trying to see if they can spot something. Saneko's spirits are actually a big deal in spotting these out. There's going to be a Spirit Lance. Shackle's going to be there on Duba. They want to follow it up. So Saneko eats the Sonic Wave. They do manage to go 1 for 1. Now Dindy's got to hope they don't have the damage. They do. Double kill for MP, and even though Dindy got a killing spree there, that just means more gold going the way of MVP when he was brought down. So pretty well played, I think. They're very good strategery out of MVP to bait that out.
Yeah, they were not expecting the wraparound, and obviously the ward's helping a lot for MVP in that regard, just staying behind the tower, knowing exactly what they were getting into before the fight actually really kicked off. So, you know, all things considered, it's a nice little couple of kills there for MVP, but we also have to consider that general, this guy's almost got a mech, he's got drums. It's only 13 minutes into the game. I really think the teamfight potential from Na'Vi is escalating a lot faster than MVP would like it to, and that's why they're just trying to pressure so much on their own. They don't want to let Na'Vi just have this kind of free reign. And now that they have the track available too, Na'Vi are going to have to be much more careful.
QO, Nightmare. Febi's there, then throws out the Shuriken toss. QO's going to end up maybe dropping it. They find the right one. They can't. He's still alive. He's going to try to make a run for it. Now they're going to try to turn it. Saneko's tracked out. That's a track kill for Febi. So even though they bring down the Phantom Lancer and the Witch Doctor, they still are able to clean up on the side of Na'Vi. It looked like MVP was going to make it away. That was at least 1, if not 2 track kills. I didn't catch it.
It was 2, yeah.
So yeah, that's actually, when you look at the gold change, that's actually a win for MVP.
That's the power of track, man. You get 1 extra kill. If you don't have the Bounty Hunter, doesn't matter. Bounty Hunter still wins. This is kind of the stage in the game where 4Ev might be saying, okay, Vanguard might have not been the item that I wanted to go immediately. Because imagine if he has Blink there and he's able to get in, get on the Wind Ranger, maybe even save QO. The problem is they're fighting and they want to keep pressuring, but 4Ev needs that extra item on top of his Vanguard to make sure that he can actually contribute in these fights. Because Axe is fairly immobile as a hero, and without the initiation power, he just feels a bit lackluster right now. So they need to maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit, let Axe get his blink, and then if you want to smoke up after that and look for some more kills with your track, it would be a much more effective time, I think, to try to take those engagements.
Mechanism picked up by General, as you said. He was right at the edge of it. He is top of our net worth chart and showing it his itemization, phase boots, mech, and drums.
He's rich.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 very important items. And really, when you look at the damage output from Na'Vi, you take a look at what's going on with Ditchera, for example, sitting on just straight up Boss Aquila, so he's not feeling scary yet. The fact that not only do they have the regen and the sustain thanks to the mech in a team fight, but the fact that, you know, he's got phase boots, he's got drums, he's not hitting for an inconsiderable amount of damage at this stage of the game. They need every bit of that if they want to continue to fight at this pace, I think.
Oh, absolutely. You can't really go into team fights as Furion without having some kind of tankiness. And that's why the drums and the phase boots are great, because you get high mobility, and you get the extra health from the drums and the movement speed, the attack speed, and then mech. It's just a team fight item that also synergizes well with the rest of your roster, because you know that you have push potential because you're a Furion. So there's just so many nice things about this build-up that allow him to fight and also allow him to pressure towers simultaneously. And could see a bit of action here middle lane. Looks like MVP are not willing to let go of that tier 1.
Just picked up the blink on the Axe as well for Rev, looking to show it off. They got Ditchera, they're going to have to do it quickly. Do they have it, Sonic Wave? They do not, he's able to jump away.
No.
Oh, he comes back! And now they're going to try to follow it up. QO in the mix, he's way out front though. And as of now, there's that mech coming into play. Forev left hanging out front, does get the dunk off, and now trying to use that mobility to find some safety. Dubo's there healing him up, not enough though. as they end up going 2 for 2 thus far. Now they're going to try to turn it around. MP doing what he can from inside of the Sprout. Damage is there. There's a track on the General. MP blinks past him. Spirit Lance is going to be there in General. Another track on the Ditcheraw. MP turns it around. He's got two sprouted in. And now they're going to bring one down. Ditcheraw's turned on. He will be able to teleport away. But what a disaster for Na'Vi. That Sprout, though. What happened, General?
I think he just used it on himself and wanted to just try to bail, but unfortunately, they just didn't go out of vision. So, yeah, that was not the greatest from him. Unfortunate, very rare misplay. But I think, again, they were probably dead anyway because they got baited into a really long chase against Bounty Hunter. Yep. And when you're playing against other heroes with mobility and you're trying to run against track, it just really doesn't work out that well for you, as we just saw there. So, a little bit unfortunate. Na'Vi get kind of pulled into this team fight that they can't necessarily
relocate
win.
to top. Dubu, dead easy.
Yeah, he gone. And now that's the mech done just like that on the bounty. So.
Kilo's going to be careful here. He ran in and ran into a bunch of spirits. Tell you what, Zaneko's spirit play, his spirit game, man, with the IO, it's been on point. It's gotten him at least, I mean, the damage, yes, but it's gotten him at least 1, if not 2 kills from just spawning into his hero. Speaking of Invid heroes spotted, Febby in trouble up here, and this is going to be a good one. QO able to jump himself to safety, at least for the moment. Febby's going to be caught in the Fiend's grip to the south. Now they're going to try to focus the Phantom Lancer. No help's on the way, so it looks like they're just resigned to letting those two go. And just as it seemed like MVP was beginning to get the game back under their control a bit, they give up 2 really costly deaths.
I think the biggest factor of this game is really just going to be who can actually fight more consistently. So Na'Vi have these heroes like Wisp, Furion, who can be all over the map really fast, and they're so good at playing a quick-paced game that MVP just don't have the time to really get all of their heroes in one place at the right time to fight. So every single time MVP are together, they win the fight. But the strength of Na'Vi's draft is the idea that you can never really all be together all the time, otherwise you're not farming efficiently. So when MVP want to try to get farm a little bit, then Na'Vi make their move, and they're like, okay, we're going to punish you, we're going to take this small skirmish here, we have +2 or even 3, no matter where we're going. And MVP just need to be very conscientious of that, because if they're not, they can very easily get overwhelmed.
Well, here's my question for you. At this point, we are beginning to see some of these items very important come out for MVP. The Blink was out on Axe a while ago. Now he's all the way up to Crimson Guard. QO, he's got 1 Blade of Alacrity on his way to what one would imagine is going to be. I mean, it could be a Diffusal, could be a...
I think it is Diffusal.
That's kind of what I was thinking, too. It only makes sense to get this lineup. With a Crimson Guard out and potentially maybe just waiting on the Diffusal, we could see a smoke down to the south. But do they just at some point just get all their guns together and march down the lane?
Oh, no.
Whiffed on Art Style. They should be able to get him in. No! Relocate is there. Shackles and the Focus Fire doing the work. Right now, Dubu's zoning them out just enough. Perhaps hanging around, but he's going to be nightmared. It's going to be juggled off of him. And he's going to be caught with the Shackles once again. Not the Shackles, but the Searing Chains. And Na'Vi take what should have been a very easy support kill for MVP, roll it up and turn it into a 3-for-0 exchange in their favor. A grand total of 2,000 gold changing hands that time around. And MVP's running out of time, man.
That was a total disaster. The misplay coming in from 4F, missing his call. As soon as that happens, I think the MVP just needs to fail. But the problem is, there was a 2-hero shackle, so the Axe and the Queen got shackled together. Yep. And that just means that your safe laner is just instantly dead. So yeah, sure, you get the Orchid off of Bane, but it wasn't really enough. And now Na'Vi feeling confident here, pushing down into the tier 2. That was a rare chance for MVP, I think, to make something really good happen, and it just backfired super hard.
In the meantime, he did pick up that Maelstrom, as we saw, really coming into play now. The question of damage for Na'Vi, which was something we were talking about earlier, I'd say that's solved.
Yeah, it is.
And Ditcheraw, I mean, Ditcheraw's basically got his Battle Fury done. Art Style caught out in the jungle, though. Or not in the jungle, in the river south or north of the jungle. And MVP trying to counterpunch as best they can. Is it too little too late? What's the approach?
There's a lot of room left for MVP in this game to make a comeback. You're never out with Bounty Hunter. That's pretty much the idea. And the thing is, Phantom Lancer is also going to come into his own once he can, secure at least 1 item. I think having a Diffusal will be a huge difference for him. In team fights as Ember Spirit, you can't really ever play against Diffusal with Flame Guard because you're just going to get immediately purged and you're in a lot of trouble. And not only that, but you can just chase down heroes like Io, for example. It's going to be really hard for Saneko to live through these fights. His positioning is going to have to be amazing in order to live. So still a lot more Dota for MVP to play out here. They just need to be very careful not to give too much more away.
Ooh, QO, not sure if he canceled it on purpose, but he almost caught the general with the whole team trailing behind him. Almost got him with the Spirit Lance. So MVP does seem to be getting back to playing aggressive, just the way they're running across the map now.
Going for the kill.
Indy hits the shackle.
What
Okay,
was that?
Okie doke.
All right, that's a back.
Back ban, please. They're going to try to counter punch now. General's going to be caught for Revs there. Got two. Seneko just completely cold to pieces. Dubu caught with the Fiend's Grip from behind. General going to try to catch himself in. Heard him Sonic Wave in the meantime. If Rev can't get in, did get off the call at the very last second. That's going to make it a double kill, a double dunkaroo for Rev. And that's going. I didn't see how many of those were tracks. Did you catch that, Drasko?
I think it was 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was 2.
Oh my God! Look at the gold change. Absolutely, it was 2.
Yeah, that's the insane thing. That's why I said MVP aren't really out of the game yet. It's going to be a while before they're really feeling the pressure. Because Na'Vi are doing what they can to continually fight, but every time you make a mistake against Bounty, it's just so impactful. It's kind of similar to in Game 1 where they have this Alchemist that you always have to be aware of, that he's farming. Except this time it's more based around the teamfight execution than it is just trying to apply pressure and stopping somebody from getting the farm.
We see the hood picked up by Febby. Great call on that. He's already got the headdress, so Pipe on the field imminently. How big of a game changer is that, having that damage mitigation?
It's really good. It's really good because you're relying pretty heavily at this stage in the game on nature, or Wrath of Nature during team fights. The Flame Guard is still a substantial amount of Ditch-Your-Raw's DPS, and you also have to worry about power shots and spirits, and all of that stuff adds up very quickly. So having the Pipe out on the field, having the Bounty be more durable, that you have to use more spells on him to kill, all that stuff matters a ton.
Trying to relocate on the Febby, crossed over a Sentry Ward, and now for Rev! Great call. They're going to try to turn it around, but they're split up right now. Caught out from behind was Febby, now MP, trying to re-engage. That was an excellent call by Forev, but he was so far ahead of his team they couldn't convert it. Now they're going to try to chase this down. QO does have the defusal, going to work, and it's showing its work. And now MP. Caught out with a Fiend's Grip, doesn't matter, cancel. We're going to see the Emperor Spirit go ahead and bail. It's a 2 for 2 thus far. Seneko has to make a run for it as well. Ditch-Your-Raw had the Spirit previously placed for safety's sake down in the bottom right corner of the map. And once again, the fight recap going super heavily in favor of MVP. A 2-for-0 exchange, but 2 had to have been track kills, as that was 1,000 gold swing in their favor.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And the thing is, that fight looked really awkward for MVP at first, but the thing is, 4F is so tanky that it doesn't matter that 2 or 3 heroes are like constantly running at him and trying to kill him.
Yep.
The whole time that fight was occurring, General was sitting down there just punching the Vanguard axe, just like, please die, please die, please die. And it just took so long that I honestly think it wasn't worth it, because that's, what, 10 plus seconds where your mech carrier isn't actually in the team fight?
Yep.
So he's over there just trying to deal with an axe. It's like, who cares? It's just an axe. If there's no backup, it doesn't really matter if he gets a call on a couple of heroes. So all things considered, not the best fight there from Na'Vi, even though it's a 2 for 2.
And don't think it's going to be getting better anytime soon. The Bounty Hunter, I think in that fight, I wasn't for sure if he was level 11 before that fight. If not, he is now. So level 2 tracks on the field. More importantly, that fight.
Reload bottom.
Yep. Well, and Dubu caught out. Heals not enough, so good kill there. I mean, it seems like Na'Vi are they're winning these small skirmishes, but losing these battles is kind of the problem, I think.
They're doing what they can, though, and it's tough because they have to do more on the map than MVP, because every single time MVP get a kill, it just is more valuable than when Na'Vi get a kill. And that's just the inherent way the lineup works when you have the bounty. So the longer this game goes, the more opportunities they're giving MVP to bring their way back into the game with the track gold, with having the late game and the Phantom Lancer. We're going to see a grip here mid.
Rev spinning like crazy. MP's there, and Dindy may end up sacrificing himself, and he will. BKB freshly bought immediately brought down. So that's a 10-second charge they just spent to trade 2 for 1. And Na'Vi feeling confident once again. Ditch-Your-Raw's damage beginning to be felt as he's picked up his Crystallis. We've seen the itemization continue for Dindy. As, yeah, he's actually kind of got a little bit of a garbage can kind of a build going. He's got a lot of bits and pieces items, and we'll see what he's going to turn them into.
I think Na'Vi are feeling a lot better, though, about the last couple of minutes there. Like that fight in particular, killing 2 cores like that, no rebuttal, no track kills going the way of MVP. That was one of the first real damage dealing hits that they've been able to apply to MVP in the last like I would say 5 minutes or so.
Yep.
And it seems like a very long game because it's been 52 kills, but it's only 26 minutes in.
Jesus.
So we're rocking the 2 kills a minute. And I wouldn't have it any other way, personally. Like, I'd much rather watch games like this than like 60-minute farm fest. And it just goes to show that we mentioned at the beginning of the first game, these two teams love to fight, and they're certainly doing it.
Maybe you don't want to throw back to the last time we casted, 2013, when we casted the longest game in Dota history.
Yep.
And not in the mood
Well,
for
back
that.
then it was the longest game.
Yeah, it's been surpassed since then. Oh, that game. But anyway, enough nostalgia. Like you said, man, if you'd asked me without me glancing at the clock, I would have said it's like a 30, 35 minute long game.
It feels like it.
Well, and the itemization's just so deep too. Like whenever you see, you know, a bounty hunter who didn't have the best start, I mean, he did okay. He's 2-7-12. You look down and go, oh, by the way, he's got arcs, pipe, and mech. You don't assume it's 27 minutes into the game most of the time.
It's just the power of bounty, man. That hero just gets cold. Like every single time somebody else gets track gold, he gets more because he's the one using the track in the first place. And the bonus gold for him is like 3 times usually. At level 2, it's actually more than 3 times, and then at level 3, it's like 2.8 or whatever, something like that. But yeah, it's ridiculous how much money he gets just from track in general. But Navi is still very, very cautious about how they're playing this out. They know they can't afford to make that many mistakes. It's very easy for MVP to just completely take over the game by virtue of just having a ton of gold, winning with a handful of engagements.
Well, down at bottom, in some trouble. Is there going to be any help coming? No. A lot of help coming from Navi. They're going to be able to sprout him in. That's a super important kill. I was just about to ask you about the Phantom Lancer and about how given there, and they do manage to find the Cull on the Bane as well, right at the ward spot at top. How important, like how much of a clock do you feel like you're on if you're Navi? Like we talked about, they don't have the best illusion clear. So like, is there a major concern that maybe you want to close this out sometime sooner rather than later, or are you quite comfortable?
I think they're maybe not comfortable, but they can do it. It's going to be a little bit rough because, like you said, the PL is going to eventually get some items. And to be honest, it's alarming how long it took them to kill QO with 4 heroes.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't think, yeah, only 4 heroes. They didn't have everyone, but still, it's a little bit concerning because you think if MVP is all there to back him up, it could be a completely different kind of fight. And that's really the thing that Navi are looking to avoid. I don't think they want to take a full 5-on-5 confrontation. I think that's too risky. If they can take these small fights like 2v2, 3v3, or outnumber them, which is what Navi are great at because they have 2 global heroes, then that's what they want to do. And MVP, they still can sit in their base, they can high ground defend and whatnot, and that's fine. But I think going for the Heart Rush here on the Phantom Lancer it's overly defensive, but it could work out if they just want to keep fighting. And MVP are a team who love to do that, so with that kind of idea in mind, I would look to see them continually play aggressive here.
I'm actually loving the approach that Navi's taking though, because what we've been talking about, you know, illusion clear. They now have a Maelstrom and a Mjolnir up on 2 of their heroes on top of Sleight of Fist for the Ember Spirit. So shoring up that weakness, getting the BKB out on Dindy, as opposed to going straight to the Mjolnir, I think is the right call as well. Allows him to play a little bit more aggressive. Speaking of aggressive, how about we just catch Dindy out?
Nightmare!
Nightmare plus relocate. And that, I don't know it's going to save everyone else, but it certainly kept Dindy up and standing for a bit. There's the Glimmer Cape, showed off to keep art style alive. Now they may try to turn. Ooh, that was so close, but Ditchira showing off his damage potential as he's got a crit stick up. Now they're going to try to turn it. Art style caught out in the river. He's being focused down. Up on the high ground, damage being done as well. Ditchira brought down too. And QO showing his punching power for the first time all game, really bringing it together, what you had talked about. Even though he doesn't have the heart, just having up the Reaver alone makes him feel so difficult to cope with. So it's a 2-for-2 trade that ultimately I think favors MVP.
That was it was like a really sick play, getting the Nightmare to stop the Queen incoming damage. So it allows him to get his BKB off, to relocate him back. But the problem is they waited a little bit too long, I think, to re-engage. And MVP just capitalized on that. Go back in with the BKB and the Wind Ranger being down. And they're going to lose the Wind Ranger here on top of that, and that's another track kill going the way of MVP. That's not good. That's really, really not good.
To put that in perspective, that's a 2,000 gold. 2,000 gold change hands off that one track.
Yeah. It is this Bounty Hunter gaming, man. You know, people in pub games, they complain about this hero because you can be losing the entire game, and you win one fight with a Bounty Hunter, and you're just in it. Like, you are just back in the game. Everyone who plays against that hero knows what I'm talking about. It's no different in competitive play, except that the players have a tendency to be much more coordinated in dealing with the hero.
A bounty, level 13. Huge part of where MVP stands right now as they move into the Roche pit. Still remains a sizable golden experience to lead for Na'Vi, but it looks like at EKG it's gone up and down so much, and as you mentioned, that is just the effect of the bounty hunter. We'll see if MVP can keep it running. At the very least, Na'Vi's done an excellent job of not being too staggered whenever they take a bad loss. They've done a great job of immediately moving out, finding bits and pieces, and finding kills, using the global presence that you've mentioned all game long. I'm beginning to worry with the PL coming online in a big way now, with the hard up, now an Aegis in his inventory. Are they going to be able to continue doing that, or is it just going to come down to one or two big fights? Down at bottom, we're going to see Axe ends up dropping Saneko, Nightmare, and he's going to end up being traded away for the Axe 1-for-1. Art style, they're pinging it out. He does have the Glimmer Cape. And Febi's going to,
He has no TP, he's dead. He is so dead.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one thing too. They're going to be split pushing in the meantime, and MP's going to be able to force at least one of them back. So they will lose art style. The biggest problem I think that Bounty Hunter presents to a team like Na'Vi is that your supports actually give away so much gold. Like when they killed Saneko, the kill itself was 650 gold. And that's not like, that's without track. So yeah, they killed 2 supports. Guess what? That's 3k gold.
QO just finished his heart, and he's already back up to 1,300, almost 1,400 gold in his big league. The amount of gold gain, like you said, is just ridiculous. Look how ballsy he is going against Ditchira, knowing the defusal and the mana burn is enough to just terrify him away.
Yeah, the heart choice actually, I'm liking more and more after seeing how they've played it out. Like they're not just sitting back and farming, because heart's the kind of item where you want to buy it when you're pushing tier 2s, tier 3s to just have that sustain. And in team fights, you just don't want to be focused down because you know eventually you're going to be able to overwhelm them with just spamming lances, having defusal charges, and just continually running in and running in. So it's working out quite well. Dendi, he does have the BKB here. It's quite hard to get this kill.
Let's talk a bit about Dendi. I mean, his itemization slowed down a bit, but you know, he's in a decent position. Well, he's going to go ahead and throw out the dust. They're going to find Febi for free. QO also got caught with that, so he's going to need to be careful. And that's a pretty high value kill just in terms of taking the bounty off the map. They got 50 seconds now to try to fight, and even if they tie, at least this time they won't come out on the bad end of the gold game.
That's definitely a good kill, because with Bounty dead, that means that Na'Vi are going to feel more comfortable taking the fights. For the same reasons that when Bounty Hunter gets tracks out, you just don't want to lose anyone. Just the gold exchange is too massive. But, you know, General has been doing his own thing. He's been very quiet, but he's played a really great game, honestly. He's 13, 4, and 17. He's been split pushing like a beast. He's just keeping MVP from being able to get all the
X on the Ditchira, just picked up, literally just bought by MP, and pays for itself there as they get the high value kill on the Ember Spirit. It's a 547 gold kill reward, I should say. The overall exchange is about 1,400. And this is just beginning to feel very snowbally. Like Na'Vi, it's not enough that they go 1-for-1 or even 1.5 or 2-for-1. Like they need to be winning more handily than they are. And every time we see one of those little pickoffs from MVP, it just puts Na'Vi that further behind schedule.
And it's going to get harder for them. Like, this game does not get easier the later you go for Na'Vi by any stretch. Like, sure, you've killed all the outer tier towers, you have that global presence to play with, but the issue becomes, you know, QO does a lot more with the farm at this stage of the game than I think even Dendi can do with the Wind Ranger. And then you have to rely on, like, Ember Spirit plus the Fury and with the Mjolnir to be able to deal with the Phantom Lancer. But the later it goes, with a heart especially, you're not going to be able to really kill QO in a full-on team fight unless, you know, MVP aren't there backing him up. And that's really going to become more and more of a concern because there's still a lot of outer tier towers left for MVP to take. And I don't know if Na'Vi are feeling confident in themselves right now and taking that full 5-on-5 engagement. Playing the Rat Dota game against Bounty is still tricky. And you've got that Hex on the Queen we just saw showcased there that helped them pick off the Emperor. It's getting very, very stressful for Na'Vi right now.
Not just the Hex, but also the Orchid. Having the Orchid to deal with the Ember Spirit is just going to be huge as we see her get more and more important as an initiator into these fights. So let's talk a bit about Na'Vi, though, see where they stand. You know, it feels like Na'Vi's got, you know, what you would expect them to have, but they don't have that big game-changing item, at least to my eyes, on the way. I mean, BKB is going to be done basically now for Ditchira. But other than that, you bounce around. Like, what is there an item that is really going to get them back into this, or is this just a situation they just kind of got to let play out and hope they can out-execute them in a big 5-on-5?
I think a lot of it boils down to execution. But they're, like, the BKB on the Ember is a fairly big deal because Ditchira has an extremely hard time standing and fight against Phantom Lancer. So a lot of people have this the conception of everyone thinks that PL is just good against Ember. That's not entirely accurate. The old PL, I would agree, but the new PL can just keep spawning illusions at such a rate that your Sleight of Fist is actually not up often enough to get kills unless you get really lucky and just like crit on 5 of them. You know what I mean? Like you have to get really good RNG to really kill the PL. The strength of the PL against the Ember comes from the fact that he has a hard time going high ground against you. And that's where the Ember becomes strong.
Oh,
but
they just pinged out QO.
Yeah.
They know which one's the real one.
He's trying to get the heck out of here.
And Artstyle picks the right one. Relocate's coming in. This is a huge kill for them to find. And the response is there, just a little late, and probably the best call for Rev and MP can make, just backing out. Now Na'Vi going to try to convert this. Rev's going to go in and get off the call, though. Has the blade mail. There's going to be the scream. Let's see if they can follow it. Artstyle's very tanky. Sonic Wave did catch 2. Dindy as well as Artstyle, but MP's going to end up, oh, no, never mind, able to make it away. Another call on the General now. They'll be right there with him, turning it around. Dindy's trying to get involved. They're so damn tanky, Draskell. Yura caught and Hex from behind. The damage is the question. They got it in spades. They've got it with the Death Ward. Rev not able to get the call that time, but it's a 2-for-1. And yes, they gave up the PL, but they also gave up the Ember. And once again, those track kills coming into play, just the importance of keeping the Ember spirit up and farming. The overall exchange, 2,600 gold in favor of MVP.
Yeah, 4,000 experience too. Definitely nothing to shake a stick at.
No.
It is becoming problematic, to say the least. And this is kind of the issue that Ember runs into against very high health heroes, is he's great when there's a ton of stuff to hit, because Battle Fury Cleave and Daedalus scale extremely well. But when there's only a couple of targets, your Sleight of Fist, even when you crit on a hero like Phantom Lancer, it just takes way too long to kill him.
Up, they're going to come in. General teleported behind enemy lines. Now he's going to end up non-engaging as he sees the rest of MVP. There's going to be as Cask buys just enough time to get on top of General. He's going to go ahead and mech himself up. And for Rev, trying to get out in front, trying to get the call. Will he find it? He doesn't need it. General's now about to drop. That's another track kill. And everything is just falling apart for Na'Vi here in Kiev, their hometown. The opening series of WePlay, they give up game 1 to a brilliant draft of MVP, and now it's just the execution. Draskell, that's the first time in just about 30 minutes, just about half an hour for the first time, the net worth and the experience have gone back in favor of MVP. What a turnaround.
It's a really bad sign for Na'Vi that like the net worth should always pretty much be in their favor if they're playing their game plan properly. Because the Bounty Hunter is giving, obviously, MVP a ton of influx of gold every time they win a team fight. The Ember is not able to keep up in terms of what he can do against a Phantom Lancer in fights. So QO's got like Blink now, he's got Basher, Defusal 2. Like he's just getting item after item, and this Ember just finished BKB that we were talking about a couple of minutes ago. So his item progression isn't fast enough. He can't kill QO anymore. He has 3,000 health and 18 armor. The utility that he has is insane. He can immediately get on the back line by blinking in. Like, look at how hard he is going for this kill.
Artstyle having to use the Glimmer Cape.
Like, they relocated. That's how scared they were that they were going to get jumped. That Seneko was actually relocating in base because he figured QO was just going to go all the way.
And what were they going to do? I mean, like, at this point. See a couple of tomes picked up by the Bounty Hunter. Correct me if I'm wrong, unless we saw it yesterday, this might be the very first Bloodthorn we've seen in competitive play, because it's been bought and it's on the way to the Queen right now.
There was one other one, I think.
Was there? Okay.
I can't remember the game, but I believe there was at least one. I'm sure somebody on the panel knows, so
got it.
Probably figure it out after the game. But I think that it's a really strong item in these types of games when you're already super far ahead, and it just makes the Orchid itself more valuable because you can buy it as a snowball item and then transition.
Well, didn't even need it.
See you later.
Yep. MP on a mega kill streak. What a game he's had. Started out farming top. There was a little bit of slowdown as Na'Vi got their legs underneath them in the latter part of the early game. But honestly, looking back, it's easy to say this, I suppose, but it feels like there's been an excellent job from Na'Vi to slow the bleeding. It's just, unfortunately, they've never been able to heal the wound. You know what I mean? Like, they never really felt like that they just got over that hump and were in complete control of the game.
It's very true. They didn't have a lot of momentum early on, but it seems very similar to game 1, where they're just, it's like a critical mass that MVP hit with their Phantom Lancer that Na'Vi just aren't equipped to deal with. And because of the fact that they're fighting so consistently, and they're fighting against Track, I think it's the combination of those two heroes in particular. Like, obviously, Dubu and Febby, Forev, they've all played a great game, but it's just because of Track and the inevitability of a Phantom Lancer that's crippling what they can do. Even having, you know, this Nature's Prophet who can be out on the map, he always has to worry about Bounty Hunter. He always has to worry about Blink Hex and Blink Call. There's so many answers that MVP has for General that he has to play a super passive game, and that's not what you want out of your Fury. He wants to be able to do more. He just can't.
I think it's a huge mark, too. I mean, remember how far ahead it seemed like Dindy was? His items are coming out just on point. He's basically stalled now. He got a scepter up a little while ago. Since then, it has been dead time for him. He's now sitting smack in the middle of the net worth chart as opposed to near the top. And the PL and the Queen of Pain comprising 2 of the top 3. General, like you said, in good shape, but he's doing, you know, he has this weird mix kind of a build where he's not really damaged, but he's also not, you know, just utility. He's a little bit of both. Here we go. Forev pops the BKB, and immediately we see one exit. Forev miss it. No, he did get art style with the call. He will be sprouted in. Let's see how they want to engage this. Na'Vi has to be very careful. This could be the game. QO going to try to turn this around, goes right on the ditch you're off. Above that, there's Forev. Caught out with the Fiend's Grip. Doesn't matter, though. General trying to right-click down the axe. Behind it, though, the battle continues to rage. Shaneko's going to be caught out. Dindy has to skirt along the edge as he's unable to get himself back into the fight. General up at the top ridge line makes it a double kill for QO as he drops. It's a 3-for-1 thus far, and looks like it'll probably stay that way as everyone else had to get out. I just don't see how Na'Vi can slow it down at this point. That's, again, just to point it out, 3,800 gold. That's the gold difference off of that one fight, a 3-for-1.
It's just a difference between the lineups is you have to execute if you're Na'Vi. Their lineup requires you to outplay your opponent. When you're up against this like late game Phantom Lancer with the bounty, with the rest of the MVP lineup, it's just a very difficult game.
Saneko just bought back and he just died back. He's out and down for the count. Sleight of Fist is doing some good work. Let's see if it's going to be enough. QO engages right on the Ditcheraw. That Basher doing work as it slowed him down. And now he's on top of Dindy. Here comes MP. Hex used. Glimmer Cape's there to buy some time. Sonic Wave will do its job, though, and there's going to be Dindy down. And now they're farming them up in their own fountain. Absolute absurdity, and they're going to end up feeding quite a lot away because of it. Buybacks out of 3 for Na'Vi and MVP.
That was not great.
No. It looked like they were just going to put a cherry on top, and instead Na'Vi licked the whipped cream. As Febby now was spotted out, but he actually is able to save himself using the Greaves. Nope, they got him. Power shot it down. What just happened, Draskell?
That was MVP showing a bit of hubris. Something that we don't often see from them. They were literally just well diving. They got shackled together outside of the well. They lost pretty much everyone to that. Something that, if that didn't happen, I would say that Na'Vi probably had lost the game. But that was just an enormous amount of golden experience they gained, even with the buybacks. So, you know, sometimes you feel like you won the game and you dive the enemy well and you give away like a metric crap ton of golden experience.
Like, to put it in perspective how bad that dive
They're going to
was.
lose Roshan now as well.
Wow. If Na'Vi win this game, it is going to be one of the biggest throws since Demon played for EG.
It's still, I think, MVP favorite, honestly, even with the Roshan, but it's not nearly as bad as it once was. And really, the biggest thing is, can anyone on Na'Vi get to another item because of this? Or are they just going to be happy with the Aegis and kind of sit around and try to farm a little bit more? Like, General's actually, ooh, he could buy Hex. That could be an item that helps them win the team fights as well.
Huge if they're able to get the right PL.
Yeah, that's a really big thing. PL's still a really hard kill though. He has Abyssal Blade and Abyssal Blade and Heart, which obviously now takes Vanguard to make Abyssal Blade, and that makes you really damn tanky.
Speaking of Hex, one out on the Bounty Hunter. Do you want to point out, despite the feed that did take place in the Radiant well there, it actually still was just nose diving in favor of MVP.
That's why I was saying it's still in their favor, but it's one of those things where you can't do that more than once.
Yeah.
Like, even if you feel fairly confident that you're going to win the game.
Now, to put it in perspective how bad that dive was, all of the tier 3s for Na'Vi, despite being chased back and just dominated that badly in their own base, all of them are right around half health at the lowest. So they didn't even try to hit buildings. They just wanted to kill heroes.
Well, with track, towers are not worth as much as heroes are.
That's a fair point. Well, we're all knotted up. 82 kills in a 45-minute game. Not quite still on pace for that 2 a minute, but like you said, man, I think I'll take it over the alternative any day of the week.
Oh, absolutely. 82 kills. What a game. But this is kind of what we both expected, right?
Yep.
You come into the series, 2 teams who love to just try to control the tempo as much as they can, and neither one of them wants to give an inch. I think Na'Vi has actually been more aggressive than MVP, though, just due to the nature of their drafts. And I think that MVP, in my opinion, had a much better draft in Game 1 and like a slightly better draft in Game 2. This one, in my opinion, had been much closer from the get-go and just required Na'Vi to be on point with their execution. And they were for quite a long time.
Oh, yeah.
You just get punished way too hard against Bounty, honestly. That's really the downfall of Na'Vi's lineup.
The fact that we're at 46 minutes, given the Bounty Hunter pick at all, should tell you. I mean, we saw, the PL has felt like he's impossible to kill for 20, maybe not that long, 15, 18 minutes or so. So, I mean, this has been a problem that Na'Vi has weathered for the vast majority of this game at this point. And like you said, they've done so admirably. They've carved the map up. They've made use of their mobility. They've really gotten a lot out of their hero capabilities and utility. But, and that's a dunked
down.
courier. That is a dead-ass courier, a splat courier.
It feels pretty good as an Axe player to be able to do that. Can confirm.
Can confirm.
I've played, I love playing Axes. It used to be one of my favorite heroes.
Whoa, Forev finds himself a general, and here comes the relocate. Immediately pops the blade mill. It's going to be a miss. Qo actually comes right into the sprout there, so a missed opportunity that time from Na'Vi. General was busted just trying to teleport in. He was trying to be sneaky and set that up a little bit more slowly, I think. He did almost the exact same thing once this game.
Well, no one really loses anything for it, just a little bit of reaction from both teams. And during that time, they did have the Ember pushing out bottom, so Na'Vi doing what they can to balance the lane equilibrium out a bit, maybe take a little bit of the pressure off of themselves for a little while. That's really the biggest thing, is they need to try to like control lanes. They will chase Qo here.
See if they want to engage. They do. General's going to come right in. Qo doing work. There's a Sonic Wave. The Aegis should have about 60 seconds left on it. Shackle is on point, but do they have the damage to do anything about it for now? BKB is going to be deployed by Dindy. Qo splits up, and now being focus fired, he is going to end up dropping. The Aegis still up on the Ember Spirit. This looks like this should be a pretty heavy win for Na'Vi if they could just continue to close it out. MVP left to run, and Karev was nowhere near there. Dindy now will be relocated. Beautiful play as MP now becomes the target. Qo back up and into the fray. But ultimately, that feels like that's a win. Well, I don't know, Na'Vi.
They forced the PL to buy back. It's definitely a win.
But he had the gold. I don't know that it impacted him that much.
Well, it obviously does, because you have to spend like, what, 1,500 gold to come back into that fight. Plus, he had to also upgrade his bots at the same time.
Right.
So he basically invested, like, look at how much gold that they actually lost to that. Like, it's a substantial amount. Like, the overall gold swing is, almost 3,000, and I'm pretty sure that doesn't even take into account the money that Qo had to spend just to be able to get back into the fight by buying those bots. So it is a big thing. That's why they want to pressure immediately because of the buyback.
Gujarat hit with the Hex, no follow-up. Qo's going to be careful. Here we go, Forev trying to lead the way. Does manage to find Dindy. Another good relocate from Seneko. Buys some time. More importantly, buys time for that Sleight of Fist to do its work. BKBs are going to be expiring now. And let's see how committed to this MVP is. Febby just flat out got caught. And he'll die without a whole lot of mustard fuss. Aegis is reclaimed, but now is where I look at it and go, okay, so we saw the buyback from Qo. Is it actually going to be worthwhile? They got almost nothing out of it. Like you said, man, that is a big deal now.
They got a tier 3. It's still definitely not great. It's kind of weird because I imagine that Na'Vi would have lost by now.
Exactly.
It's just that the MVP dove the well so hard that they actually gave Na'Vi a way back into the game just because of that one play. And here we are looking at a full Hex now on General. And he has that Blink Dagger as well. So they can start fights on their own terms. They have 2 Blink Initiators. They got the Ember Spirit to follow up. He's almost got enough money for another damage item, which is going to be huge. Oh, he's going Butterfly. That is a really interesting choice. So I suppose if you're up against the Phantom Lancer who isn't going for MKB, and you want to try to stay in the fight a little bit longer and just be able to auto-attack a bit, Butterfly is a good choice. Because with BKB and Butterfly, you're still quite tanky. but okay, art style.
I was watching him this whole time.
Yeah, I think he's a goner.
He rolled up there and was playing so gutsy, just poking his nose around. He finally got spotted. Like, he came up, used his Glimmer Cape, had an Arcane Rune deployed. That's just kind of a weird death. Ultimately, though, not the biggest deal. I mean, we'll see. I mean, he should be back up by the time MVP actually makes headway on the objective.
Yeah, I would assume so as well. I think he was just trying to scout out of it, and I thought for a minute that he might have some wards on him, but he didn't actually buy the ward that he has until he died.
Yeah.
So he was kind of just off in La La Land looking for something, and he found it. So it's good on him.
Not your side of the map there, art
Dire's middle
style.
tower is under attack.
But okay, we're at 51 minutes now.
Yep.
I want you, if you can, hang on, how about we just figure it out on our own? We're going to see General brought down, relocates there, but Dendy doing what damage he can. And the BKB from MP is going to be enough to get him back to safety. Forev still right on top of Dendy down in the jungle. Dendy doesn't make it to the other side of the trees, but the relocate is there once again. Dityara, in the meantime, able to clean up the Queen of Pain over on the other side of the trees. So it ends up being a 1-for-1 quap traded for the Nature's Prophet.
I think actually MVP will be okay with that one.
Yep.
Because the Prophet, I think, does a lot more in pushing out the lanes. He's kind of a beast in a team fight right now. Obviously, both the heroes are worth a fair amount. You know, 25k net worth for the Queen and 22.5 for the Prophet. So it's a fairly even exchange. Only difference is Furion pushes the lanes more. So definitely MVP, I think, are a-okay with the exchange. And you were going to ask something. I assume it's about who's going to die next or something.
No. It was actually along the lines of, in the engagements, as especially we start thinking high ground and MVP trying to breach it and hopefully not dive the fountain this time. What's the key, like, basically order of initiation here? I mean, you have to account for Hex, you have to account for Fiend's Grip on the side of Na'Vi. So on both sides, like, what's the ideal scenario and how are you approaching this in terms of your #1 priorities to make sure you're having more impact than the other side?
Well, for Na'Vi, they actually want to wait for people to jump them. That's the best of both worlds, because then they can use relocate to save. We've been seeing Seneko make use of that time after time. You know, somebody gets blink called, they relocate save. Oh, Dendy. There's a Hex. There's a Hex on the bounty. He's in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, he missed the call. BKB's going to be used now, and now the relocate in. Forev leading the way, doing a lot of damage. That blade work just doing work. And that's going to be a double dunk. 100+ seconds down for 2 of the biggest cores on the map. And Na'Vi, just like that, find themselves down 4 players. They don't have a buyback on art style, but that's it. They do on everyone else. What a huge turn. What the hell happened again?
I believe the term is baited.
Baited?
More or less. They try to go all in, right? Because they feel like they're losing control of the game just by how long it's going, and the hero matchup is really difficult for them. And so even though General has like an insane amount of farm, and Dendy's farm is still okay, the Ember has like Butterfly now, it's just, they're never really able to hit MVP's base. You know, they're never really able to push the lanes out enough, and because of the fact that they don't want to spend buybacks here, they will probably end up losing this Rax. Okay, now they're going to buy back, but it's a little bit late now.
Yep, they've already lost 1 set of racks, and there's QO going to be Hex. Do they have any damage? Febby caught out with that. There's going to be the Greaves through it. Now General's forced to BKB. Sonic Wave doesn't do much of anything, but MVP just swarming them, forcing the relocate to get 1 out of the battle. QO down to half health. Dityara doing what he can. Seneko, oh, he missed the dunk. He missed the dunk on Seneko. Seneko has to run and might make it back in the meantime, though. QO very low. Are they going to be able to finish him off? They will, but oh my goodness. Dubu on point and able to bring down the remainder of Na'Vi. The buybacks are done, and so is Na'Vi as MVP in a game they made a lot more interesting by trying to go at it pub style and dive the fountain before the tier 3s, let alone the racks, were down. They nonetheless finally managed to shut that door just short of an hour in, Draskell. Crazy game.
I think going forward here for MVP, I think teams really have to worry about this team because they can just play so many different styles. You know, no matter what they pick, they always love to go for the fights, and we talked about that too. Just they want to always apply pressure, but they know what items they need